Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Anfield Index Under Pressure podcast. My name's Dan Kennett, and with me to discuss Liverpool going out of the FA Cup at the fourth round stage, I do have the full team. I've got my namesake, Mr. Daniel Rhodes. No pressing this week, Rhodesy. So nice, easy one for you.
Yes. I think it'd have been a story, though, if we'd have had me or Gags would have had a chance, but...
Yeah, but we just so everybody knows, it does take a lot. Manual collection does take a lot, like 3 to 4 hours manual effort, and we kind of just do Champions League and league matches, unless it's like really late in the cup, isn't it, Rhodesy? Maybe the semis and the final.
Semis and finals, yeah.
Yeah. But none of those this year.
I thought we were going to be doing a podcast on all the signings in the window, Dan.
Oh, no. Well, we can discuss our only signing as part of the show anyway. And I have the dynamic sports science duo. It's broadcasting live from his ivory tower. It's Dr. Phil Barter. Evening, Phil.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
All right. Good, mate.
Yeah.
How was no cricket practice class tonight? So did you get your full quota of in the nets?
I did. I was saying to Rhodesy, I didn't get out, so I was happy. You know?
Excellent. Was that against the first team opening bowler as well?
It was. I was just defending my wicket against him and making sure my helmet was on. And then the rest of everybody else, I was concentrating on my shots. So, yeah, it was good.
Nice. And he's what? He's about 75 mph. Did you
75, 80, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good going, mate.
Yeah, it's quick. I was saying, like, when you've got 7 bowlers rotating, you don't get him 6 in a row, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. So we can't set you up and all that. Yeah.
No. So it hits you with one, you're like, right, recover, and then you prepare.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, protecting your wicket. Good stuff, mate.
Exactly.
Well done. And finally, last but not least, he's why you all listen to this show. He's had more clubs than Tiger Woods, but it's Simon Brundish.
Evening, boys.
Evening, boy. Evening. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good.
Right. Stay on the line, mate, because we're going to start by talking about breaking news. Nothing to do with transfers. Hamstrings. Si, hamstring injuries.
Don't we love a hamstring injury? I like hamstrings because they're not ACL tears.
Well, yeah. Hamstrings, well, that's what we're going to talk about at the start of the show. So Ibu Konate, the latest bad news for Liverpool. Race against time, cliche. Or we need to have a klaxon, I think, some kind of sound effect for that. Race against time for the Real Madrid tie, apparently. Not good, right, Si?
It's less than ideal, let's say.
Suboptimal.
Yet another hamstring injury.
So, you keep data on this kind of thing, Si. How many hamstring injuries this season?
17. 17 hamstring injuries, right? And it sounds like a lot for anybody. The way it's whipped up around the internet today, people seem to think it's a lot. But for context, right, there's a couple of big studies. One done by one of our old doctors that works, is now head of performance for FIFA, basically. And there's another one, Yannick Strand. So one was done 2020, one was done in 2012, one on 350.
Was that Peter Bruckner?
No.
No, not him.
No, Andy Moore. One was done on the 5 big European leagues over 2 seasons, and one was done on the top 4 divisions of the English League over 2 seasons. And basically, between 12 and 15% of all injuries are hamstring injuries, and the average club suffers 5 a season. That's a lot of data across 5 European leagues and the top 4 in England, and it averages across 5.
Yeah, and we're at 17 in half. Yeah, and we're at 17 and half a season.
Yeah, 17 in half a season.
So that sounds to me that there is an issue. So, I mean, Bart, just bring you in quickly here, right? We all would like to talk about variation, don't we? And we always know that there's 2 kinds of variation. There's special cause variation and common cause. And it's getting to the stage where you're looking at 17, you've got to be looking at some kind of special cause right there. There's got to be some major issue, right?
So what was the deviation off that 5? Was it 2, did you say?
Yeah.
So we're 10 over.
So that's like almost a 6 Sigma event there.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
so you double the actual even with the outlier range. So I would say there's a systematic failure in a system somewhere.
So for an average person, we have 3 times more than average, and we're only halfway through the season.
Yeah. So we've got another 17 games left. Now we're out of the cups.
Okay. So let's talk about those teams who get an average number of hamstring injuries, 5 or 6 per season, right? Most common injury now, even I as a layman kind of know that hamstrings kind of go when people are kind of tired, yeah? And they've literally been pushed and then something just twangs, yeah? So what you might call fatigue, is that right to say?
Yeah. So the most common hamstring injury in a footballer is the long head of the bicep femoris, which is the biggest of the hamstring. Hamstrings are not a muscle; they're a group of muscles, and their role is to extend the hip and flex the knee. So they work as the pulling part of running fast, and they also work in the slowing your leg down part of when you kick, to stop your knee smashing you in the face. And they obviously work in landing and jumping and all that stuff as well. And the most common cause of a hamstring injury, or the most common in footballing activity in which a hamstring injury occurs, is from one of 2 things really, but it's what we call overstriding. When you're sprinting, you're trying to sprint at top speed, and it's common when you get a bit tired that your foot goes a little bit further than it would, so you extend a little bit higher at the knee than you would, and so you're doing that stretch thing
while at top speed.
Yeah, and the other time is when you are tired and you get a little bit of a knock midair. While you're running when you're running fast, and your muscles basically they try to break to create stability before they hit the floor, and that's very common. And so my guess in this instant would be it occurred when you guys guess, when do you think it might have occurred in this game?
When he should have been sent off.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When he should have been sent off.
Yeah. So he was straining right then to catch up with McAllister. Yeah. And I think he tried to there was a moment where he tried to step at full speed, step across in front of him. And I think that's where it happened.
Yeah. Okay. Barts, I guess the other thing, which maybe the only thing I didn't cover is deceleration as well.
Yeah.
You were talking about it in the AI Discord earlier today, weren't you? You were talking about deceleration, I think. I saw you on there.
Yeah, it's just, as I said, your hamstrings start to break, it's deceleration mode in part of the running. So I think that all comes into what he said. I think someone said Darwin had got a semitendinosus, which is on the medial side of the leg of the hamstring. So a little bit different, but I think it's all wrapped up in the same mechanism of, it's to do with the high speed running you're doing.
The semitendinosus is usually when it's usually a kicking related hammy.
Yeah.
So it's like your big leg swing. It's the end of your foot swing,
kicking motion,
and a big kick.
Yeah. Which is a bit weird with Darwin, but we don't know what leg he's on with Darwin either. So I couldn't tell you.
To be honest, he does seem to take an equal amount of shots with left and right, to be fair.
You've updated the tracker, so maybe you should put that as a line, you know?
Yeah, where he got his injury. Yeah, so I guess...
Where it's genuinely more likely to occur for a kicking phase when you, for an example, if you have a shot in the middle of a goal and you mistime it and slice it wide, you've not just mistimed the contact on the ball, you mistimed the swing. And that's when it's most likely to happen.
So I think the thing I thought most interesting on your Twitter feed this afternoon, Si, was when you basically pointed out how little Konate has actually played. Do you want to just the fact, because you're saying he shouldn't be vulnerable in his situation with what he's done. He shouldn't be vulnerable to a hamstring injury.
It blew my mind that, well, at first I noticed that he had played. He's the only one of our players to have played every minute of 2023 so far. But we haven't actually played many games in 2023. So
no, we're playing once a week.
Surprise, he is the only one.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Thiago's played every minute as well.
He started every game.
That's it. Sorry, yeah, he's got subbed.
Yeah, he got subbed off twice. But yeah, he's played Ibu's played a grand total of for Liverpool. Do you know how many minutes he's played so far this season?
Didn't you say is it around 13?
700?
609.
Wow.
And he's played a grand total of 1,032 all season. I even typed it wrong. I said 1222, but it was a typing error.
That's
so he's played even less than I thought he had.
So
it's an average of 30. It'll be an average of 38 minutes over the course of 27 weeks.
Yeah, Jesus.
So and he's 23.
I know. Yeah, you said if a 23-year-old centre-back can't play 6 games in 30 days without ripping a hamstring, we have some very real problems. So. Right.
But just bear in mind, set that up with our recruitment policy of recruiting lads that have demonstrated a capacity for more than 1,200 metres of high-speed running, which a centre-back doesn't do, twice a week for a season, so that we know they have the physical capacities to play for Liverpool. And then there's a whole bunch of them, but this is Konate's 4th hamstring injury at 23. And if you have one...
Or Liverpool and Leipzig?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And so he has missed, I think, 26 games with hamstring injuries, but he's missed a lot of games in his career.
Yeah.
What was his knee injury, Si? Was that not a ligament injury?
Yeah, was it
ACL?
No. It was a PCL.
Would they have repaired that with a bit of ligament from the hamstring?
No. No.
Right.
They can repair. They can repair it one or two ways, but it definitely would have been hamstring.
No. Okay.
They might do these days. They tend to not with powerful players do a hamstring graft anyway.
Yeah.
Of an ACL, but it could have been, but not for PCL for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
bin patella.
Yeah.
Or cadaver.
So, question, right? To play football, right, you need to be able to run, right? And you need to be able to run a lot. So, as part of training footballers, you have to learn to be able to run, typically, if you're a midfielder, 11K a match, right? And you have to be able to run at a high speed as well. But at the same time, Si, it's not just about training players to run, is it? It's about giving them the strength and the condition so their body can support them doing that every 4 days or something like that, right? So how do you, as a club, have to manage the tension, if you like, between the demands of running, like fitness type stuff, and then the strength and conditioning, which is your area of expertise? How does a typical club work?
Are you that person who has everything? The coolest merch and those must-have fan threads? Well, over at our Anfield Index shop, we've gone that extra mile when it comes to pimping up your Liverpool collection. From our popular range of bespoke design t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies and hats, to our signature edition mugs, prints and coasters, all provided with fast worldwide shipping. We have something for every red. We also stock official LFC merchandise and are licensed with the Premier League and UEFA to sell official iron-on shirt badges and sleeve patches. As a listener to this podcast, you can get 10% off everything with coupon code AIPRO10. Just head over to AnfieldIndex.shop or find us on Etsy by searching for Anfield Index.
So the strength and conditioning involves both of those things because the running bit is the conditioning bit. I think people are starting to come to terms with the running side of stuff. They're starting to hear numbers of somebody did 11.5K or blah, or somebody sprinted 36 times. They're starting to get out there. But the key metrics are not those for football. They're largely they're position specific for meters per minute, but we want like high octane players going to be running more than 100 meters per minute for 96 minutes. And that's quite hard to do, but that's an average of moving minutes of ball in play. But one of the key, most understated statistics and then qualities that we need is decelerations. So change of direction, like Bart was saying, decelerations. So you need a player to be making between 80 and 100 decelerations a game. And that's where strength comes in. So the stronger you are, so there's a relationship between size, weight, mass, and strength, your ability to decelerate that mass.
Yeah.
And then obviously speed comes into it because the faster you're going, the more force is required to stop you and change direction, which has a metabolic cost, which comes in muscle damage and energy used, which takes longer to recover. So faster players take longer to recover than slower players because they tend to be heavier, and they tend to be producing more force, which requires more force to slow it down. So the greater the capacity of your muscles to produce force, strength, the lower amount of that capacity you need each time to slow down, if that makes sense. So the lower the toll on your body, if you can, in really meaningful terms, if you can deadlift two and a half times your body weight, and then you have to stop from, I don't know, say 10K an hour, and that works out at 0.9 your body weight. But so that would work out at 40% of your maximum you had to produce to slow you down. But if you don't deadlift and you only have the capacity to lift just over your body weight, then you have to produce 90% of your maximum every time you slow down. So the cost to your body is much greater, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the stronger you are, the more likely you are to be able to repeat decelerations. If you are having to work a higher percentage of your maximum each time, you are significantly more likely to get hamstring tears or hip flexor tears, which are the two power muscles that are prone to tearing through fatigue. And we have an abundance of both.
Yeah. So, Barts, just to bring you in, and there was the article by Simon Hughes in The Athletic inside the medical physio fitness departments at Liverpool early in the season. There was talk of this kind of stuff then. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, we're looking potentially at a special cause, causing all this issue and something gone seriously wrong somewhere. Is it possible that we were out of sync between the right balance we need between the strength and the conditioning parts of the S&C?
100%. From Si's just said, I think Si's explained it beautifully in terms of what the load we're asking our players to do. And the only way you mitigate that is by utilising the S&C staff we have to ensure the players don't have to exhibit that amount of extra load in a game. So clearly, in my mind, if you look at the evidence that isn't being done. We're not listening to our S&C guys, which we're not going to employ idiots. The S&C guys are highly qualified people there. They're just not, from my mind, looking at the evidence and injuries, not being utilised correctly.
Yeah. Do you think this will end up with, at the end of the season, maybe before, who knows, with major change in the S&C and fitness departments?
Depends which way you look at it, Darth. At the moment, we've got no one running the show, have we?
Well, leaving aside the fact that it's not actually clear who would appoint such a person if we had to replace him, would this kind of...
Yes, if you were a well-run club, you would look at this as we did when, I think when Klopp first arrived, he said, right, we have to sort out the injuries.
Yeah.
And we systematically went through like a root and branch review and went, right, what system do we need to make sure that we get the best our players out, all of our players out, that had to increase our availability. And they did that. They did, as I said, we started to recruit players who could do X, Y, Z, which is what Edwards and the team did. We re-looked at the injury protocols. We looked at the medical side. We brought it all together. And if you look at the graphs that Si put out on Twitter, the seasons where we've been the most successful is when we reduced our injuries. It's no coincidence. No shit. You know, you get away from that. And all right, the centre-backs get an injury. Fair enough. But again, that was a recruitment issue. We didn't recruit the spare centre-back we needed. So therefore, we overloaded the midfielders. We didn't play your son where we probably should have done, and it called it a cascade effect. Yeah. This season seems to be just a systematic failure in not utilising the staff we have in pre-season, which we come back to time and time again. Pre-season was not adequately carried out this year, tactically, physically, the whole lot.
So who's responsible for that? Is that Klopp for not using them? Is that one of the other medical staff for not?
Well, the way we're led to believe now, Rhodesy, is it's Klopp, isn't it? It's all on Klopp. That's what we're led to believe now. There is no overarching person.
My feeling in all this is that there's what I see at lots of football clubs, lots of sports clubs throughout the world professionally, is there is a philosophical discussion or disagreement, misalignment going on. Particularly in football, in how much lifting you need to do, how much strength training that a footballer should do, like what sort of muscle size is appropriate for a footballer. And Klopp and Corney very, very much down the conditioning is important, and we need light players to get around the pitch.
Yeah, our players are very lean, aren't they, Si?
They're very, very lean. Lean is great. Milner Milner and Mo are like my level of prototypical footballer. And Hendo is Kornmeyer's prototypical footballer. Hendo and Fab. Yes. So if you're that lean and you don't lift heavy weights, there is potentially the debate goes, there is either a consequence of that, or you are just missing a potential avenue of performance improvement.
Yeah. It's about the whole package, so isn't it? You know, these are all elements.
You just need to be strong and fast and be able to get around the pitch.
Yeah.
What's the logic for not wanting to do weights then? Is it because if you get more muscle, you slow down?
Increase mass?
Yeah. Increased mass, it means increased workload, which means you're using more calories, you're more likely to get tired more quickly.
Okay.
So historically, you will have lads that lift, and they tend to be lower down on the James Milner lactate test, or a 2K test, which is one of those things that they decide are the most important things in the world in some conditioning settings. But then you have James Milner, who is a beast, and he can do all of it, and that's what a footballer should look like.
Yeah. Okay, so there's your hamstring special. We do have to talk about Brighton now, but before we even start talking about Brighton, Rhodesy, we were chatting earlier on, and I thought we should loop back to one of the pods we did. I think it was after the West Ham game at Anfield, and we talked about our performance data, if you like, season performance data. Yeah, in comparison to some of the worst periods that we've had as a team, and we gone back to the absolute horror run at the start of 2021, calendar year 2021, and also some relegated teams we looked at, didn't we? And I thought
the teams that finished 18th.
Yeah, we did. We looked at teams that finished 18th in the Premier League in the last 5 years, I think. And because what I wanted to do was just to try and come into the Brighton game just on the context of, is what we're trying to do now a reaction to just how bad the performance is? So you've updated things, right? So what did you find?
Yes, just a quick note that anyone listening, that analysis on hamstrings was absolutely top notch, and you literally don't have that anywhere else.
No.
For this, so in that horror run, and the first game of that was a 1-1 draw at home to West Brom, and the last game was a 1-0 defeat at home to Fulham. 14-game sample.
It's a good sample, yeah.
Very good sample, and we would regard it. Well, I think we lost 5 or 6 games in a row.
6 games in a row at home we lost.
Yeah, after what was it, a 68 or
68, 69 game. They lost it to Burnley, lost the unbeaten record to Burnley, and then lost 6 in a row. Yeah.
So in that period of games, we conceded 17 goals in 14 games at 1.13 a game, which is poor. You're probably not going to win the league conceding more than 38 goals, but isn't catastrophic or anything.
Yeah, it's not that bad considering really that the results in that period.
Yeah, and we also conceded 0.97 XG a game, which is decent. I'll take that this season. We were conceding 7.6 shots a game on average and 1.8 big chances. At the time, I remember us talking about it. That's too many big chances. It's about 1.5 shots over our normal, and and to be honest, we won the league with a 0.95 XG against. So the XG there wasn't what. And in 7-8 of those 14 games, we conceded less than 0.7 XG. So there was a lot of 0-0 nonsense. There was a lot of barely much happening in that games because we had a limited squad. We had similar level of injuries, but not as bad as what it's been this season. Anyway, this season we have conceded 1.29 goals a game. But worse than that, we've conceded 1.44 XG per game. Now, for context, Fulham went down in 18th in 2021 with 1.4 XG against.
Wow.
So, worse than that. The worst out of the 5 teams, Swansea, Cardiff, Bournemouth, Fulham and Burnley. Burnley went down with 1.71. Now we'll come on to the shots against. We are conceding just under 10 a game. And obviously we usually...
Still not bad. 10 a game is not bad in that.
It's not bad, but at our level, we've been around 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
We usually are. But the absolute catastrophic part of this analysis is that we're conceding 3 big chances a game.
Still 3.
None of those relegated teams conceded more than 2.4. Burnley went down conceding 1.87 big chances a game.
Yeah.
So we're twice as bad as a relegated side in terms of high quality chances conceding. And this is only league, doesn't include the 9 we conceded against Napoli, doesn't include the ones we conceded against Man City or Brighton. It's just the league, but it's literally relegation defensive performance.
And just to be clear to everyone listening, those figures there on the XG for us, they're the ones we collect match by match, and there's an average across the models, isn't it? So 6, 7 XG models in, and that's the average of the figures. So that's what we're using. So yeah, wow.
Yeah. So
thanks for that, Rhodesy.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for making me look at it again.
So, brilliant stuff. So, Barts, just want to come on to you then. I mean, do you think that the Brighton game 2 weeks ago was the point of no return, the tipping point that finally we could not carry on doing the same thing? Something has to change.
I think we said last week, yes, I do. And we haven't got it right yet. But we'll come on to it, but I do think there are some things we have tried to change. And I part of that is a midfield selection. I think we've gone to playing a higher line again. The things we said we have. I mean, Klopp must have said compact in the presser, double figures.
Yeah.
So clearly they're working on being more compact, and I do genuinely think we have tried to be more compact.
What did Robbo say after the game? Robbo kept saying we wanted to be
compact. Yeah. So I think we have evidently worked on that. The midfield is picked. I wouldn't quite say meritocracy, but I think it is. They are carrying out that, working in a more confined, disciplined areas. And the front, particularly as we've said in the last pod, is we've chosen Gapgo to do a job. which is to
Cody. Just say
Cody. Yeah, sorry, Cody. Definitely. Cody. So we've chosen Cody to do the job from the front, which Nunes can't do, and Mo to a lesser degree can't do. So I think we've chosen a side to do that, and Joe and Konate are our quickest two centre halves as well.
Yeah. So lots of angry
Sure.
my Liverpool timeline about no Nunes. So even leaving aside, we don't know how fit he was because he has been injured. Do you think that it was still a tactical selection because we are trying this more conservative defensive approach to try and fix those, try and at least improve on those horrific numbers that Rhodesy outlined? Do you think there's a conscious decision by Klopp to go slightly more conservative and defensive?
I think so, but then it's really hard to say that because we don't know how fit he was. The problem I have with that is Harvey. Because Harvey, for me, wasn't disciplined in his role. In time and time, we've looked over the last few games and we looked at when we had the AI data and we've had the press zones, and even look at the Opta, his area of work, if you like, his touches on and off the ball is huge compared with the other defined zones of the six front players. Which says to, and even we said in the chat, like Harvey is cutting in, picking up the ball in the 10. I mean, he scored from the inside right area. So that I'd go along with the tactical thing if you had an extremely disciplined front three.
So he okay, we can still say he did some nice things in this match. He had a fairly decent game, but in terms of a tactical framework, he was ill-disciplined because he didn't stick to his left front.
Didn't stick to the left-hand side. So Robbo had 2v1s a lot. He dealt with it okay because for the first hour, Thiago was in a position to help out. The midfield worked as a 3 to protect that area, be an optional protect. But when you clock past that hour, the midfield changed. They weren't as disciplined. And gaps started to arise. So I think, I think there's part of tactical there because you put Darwin in, fundamentally he's not going to do it off the ball. So you would have had a lot more volume coming through the middle of the park, which would have meant the midfield three, that would have been a real test actually to see how good this midfield three are to deal with that volume of ball coming through the middle. It then would have exposed the left-hand side more because they wouldn't have been able to support Robbo. So it would have exposed the whole Harvey left. So I think he probably went, on balance, off the ball, I'd accept one player not doing the game plan. And for me, for Klopp at the moment, that's Harvey.
Yeah. But you'd go Nunes because the trade-off with terms of the pace on the counter-attack, getting behind the opposition is higher, And potentially. I mean, I think I've said I don't know. I think I probably would. But I think it's a bit of a toss-up, I have to say. I mean, Harvey's got 2 in 2 at the moment. In the cup anyway.
I know, but what I'm saying? He's still scored,
absolutely.
Isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's got in positions to score. I mean, he missed a cracker in this game as well.
I think Nunes has got 1 goal since the World Cup.
Exactly. Right? So there's a lot of things you could say that are going in Harvey's favour.
I mean, the other thing I just thought was symptomatic of our muddle thinking is that the last 3 major signings have all been left wingers, and then we end up playing Harvey Elliott.
Exactly.
Anyway, but I know there's injuries, but I just
it doesn't make sense to me. But hey, not a lot of things do at the moment.
No. So, Si, just continuing that theme. So we're saying we're setting up more compact and slightly more conservative, slightly more defensive. How did you see the game plan and our approach?
I thought it was really interesting in comparison to Brighton's approach. And the first 40 minutes were played in a 20-metre space, either 10 metres either side of the halfway line. That's how compact we were. We were 15 metres front to back and really narrow. We were 30 metres across the pitch, narrow from fullback to fullback. And then the wide players were tucked inside that. So we were absolutely desperately trying to be a cohesive unit. You could watch the players throughout yelling at each other to make sure they were in the right spaces. First and foremost, the single most important thought in their brain was to maybe compact is the word, but to stay in their spacing, and consequently, the fantasy is gone, and nobody was pushing beyond and high and taking advantage in any kind of number because if the ball got loose, our first thought still was make sure I'm in the right position not to be counted on.
Yeah. But do you think this is
maybe a benefit to that? How many big chances do we concede? I'm not quite sure.
Great.
But
in
were they
total
from set pieces?
No, there was the one in the first half from a transition.
That's one I pointed out. In
Robbo was miles upfield, was it?
Yeah. What were the other two, Rhodesy?
Matoma's winner and
was set piece
and March from Matoma's outside of the foot.
Yeah, that was about 15 to go, was it? That one?
Yeah, that was through passing.
Yeah,
that was possession. That.
Yeah.
So we did kind of negate the counter. We got counted a couple of times. Once I counted through, we had a 19 pass phase. We lost possession. They had 2 touches, and then we had a 26 pass phase, which I talked to you guys through in the chat, which resulted in getting Harvey in a half space with 10 meters around him. And at the same time as Robbo had made a run in behind, he would have had 30 or 40 meters of grass to run into, and Harvey didn't see him, and he laid the ball off back to Thiago instead, who forced a pass because he knew it was the time. It's what we talked about last week about Thiago knowing the right time when we're set. He knew it was the right time to make the pass, that Harvey was the right time to make the pass. Problem is, Thiago no longer was the right time. He was the second half too late because we got too many players gone forward at that point. He forced the ball into Mo. Dunk got his foot in ahead of Mo, and the ball broached directly back past Robbo through that space, and then they had a big chance in the left.
Trent cleared it off the line.
Yeah, Trent cleared it off the line. Yeah.
But they basically just played where Robbo was because he was put upfield. But yeah,
exactly. And Robbo wasn't caught out of position. Robbo had done the exact thing he was supposed to do. It's just that we forced the pass at the wrong time. Yeah. Instead of Harvey playing the right pass at the right time, we'd have been perfectly protected, and we had 3 men in the box.
Yeah. So Harvey missed the opportunity, and the only slight mistake was basically Thiago should have recycled instead of forcing it.
Yes, exactly. He should have then taken that moment to make another 26 pass phase to create some instability on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's not even about, I don't even want to make, it's not about decisions and opportunities to make a pass. Harvey missed the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very well rehearsed pattern. Harvey just missed that's the pattern that we were making.
Yeah.
Which was unfortunate and it cost us, but we did have that compactness throughout the rest of the game up until the subs.
Yeah. So did we finish the lineup per se? Liverpool lineup.
I
just Trent came in, yeah.
Yeah, Trent came in. That was it.
That was it. That was the only change. So you kept with the front three. Barts, but Brighton's lineup, they made some interesting changes, didn't they? They went with the front 2.
Yeah, they changed the keeper. Obviously, the lad we're after is exiled from the squad at the moment.
Yeah, so he's in the basement. He's locked in the basement. Yeah.
So Lampsey came in.
The lad we're after, Phil.
Well, we put a bid in this summer, didn't we? Everybody's after him, but he's in the basement anyway. Unless you pay on your Amex, then you might get him. But no, they changed the centre half and the right back. So they brought in Lamptey and Webster at centre half.
I mean, not a bad sub, is he, Lamptey, coming there?
No, he's not. He's not. It's a cup game for them, isn't it? So they're concentrating on the league. Is it Gross came into play in the double pivot instead of Logan.
Gross and McAllister double pivot.
And then Welbeck dropped in the 10 and Ferguson went up top.
Yeah.
So
Can we just have a second, right?
Yep.
McAllister and Pascal Gross, 2 wide attacking forwards in any other previous generation of football.
Yeah.
They're playing defensive midfield.
Yeah. Shows you what De Zerbi thought about our attack, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy, but And I do think, looking at, I mean, I get its volume and the rest of it, but looking at the duels they had, I do think the way we set up had an impact to them up to the first subs. Remember the pattern you posted, Darth, from the duels that they managed to do in the first game, in the league game?
Yeah.
It was like a fan. But up to the first half, they didn't have any duel wins in our box. There was hardly, there was one in both half spaces, and there was only 3 in total in our defensive third, which is a massive improvement from the double figures I had in the league game.
Exactly. And it was exactly the same passing network shape as Chelsea. We literally forced them down the flank. But to be fair, their entire game plan was get Mitoma on the ball, wasn't it?
Well, sure. It was, I mean, it's not quite bang it in the channels. There was a bit of I think they stretched really wide and they played a quick ball inside and then they played a vertical pass in between the space they made between the fullback and centre half. So it was a bit more nuanced to it, but they had a strong box in their defensive midfield. You know, they had 2 centre halves, 2 sitters in front, and that box is prevalent on even the league game and everything. It's there. That's their structure. And then they play around, they move around that. So but we forced them wide, but then that also played to their strengths.
Yeah.
So
we'll pay tribute to Mitoma later in the pod.
Boys, statistically, our system worked in that McAllister had 62% of the touches that he had against us in the last game, and Gross had 55% of the touches Caicedo had. So the thing they killed us with, we were much better at negating.
Up to first subs.
Yeah, they had 64% possession in the league game, and it's 55-45 this game.
Yeah. Has anyone got a breakdown for? I haven't got it for from the subs almost to full time. I'd suggest they massively skewed that the other way.
54-46 was
yes.
Yeah, 54-46 up to the subs, and then from the subs to full time, 58-42.
All right.
Yeah. And then in when was the last set of subs? 70?
80 odd last 10.
66-34 possession.
Curtis came on 9 and Fabinho came on 85.
Yeah. They also won 5 duels in the last after the subs as well in our final third.
Yeah.
In the right channel.
Stop. Right, Rhodesy. So, talked a lot about changes, maybe the reason why we're making changes. In that full match summary, did it make any difference?
Well, I went back to the other Brighton game in the league, and I'll compare them as we're going along. So obviously the non-penalty XG, we had 0.96. Obviously it's just one model for this, 2.01 for Brighton. In the league game, we had 1.2. They had 2.1. In this game, we had 8 shots. They had 13. In the league game, we had 6. They had 16. We had 6 shots in the box to 10. In the league game, it was 5 to 12. In this game, we had 2 shots on target to 6. In the league game, they had 8 to 2. And we had 2 big chances in this and that, and they had 3 in both. So
it was 3 to 2 in this. Did you say the big chance in this game?
Yeah.
And 3 to none in the league game.
No,
is that
3
right?
to 2 in the league game.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I don't think, I think Phil's just mentioned that. I think it's breaking down the match here, isn't it? All our XG came up to an hour. We didn't have any for that.
Most of it came in the first 35 minutes.
Yeah.
There was a few shots after that, but quite a few shots, quite a few opportunities in the second half where we were in the box and didn't actually shoot for some reason.
Yes.
There was one shot after Harvey's goal.
Yeah. It was flatlined after that. Flatlined.
Yeah. So you could say we were compact, not conceding. We conceded 1 big chance before the subs. That was the Evan Ferguson one that we just discussed there, where Harvey doesn't play the right ball and then Thiago doesn't recycle. So that was the only chance we conceded, big chance. And then we conceded the Solly March one, which was a good bit of skill, but that was after the subs. So that was...
I think we were winning the big chances, weren't we, until the subs?
Yeah,
2-1.
2-1 and shots was 8-7.
Yeah.
I mean, also, Elliott was put clean through by Gakpo.
And he made the wrong choice,
And his first touch was his second touch was terrible.
Yeah.
He didn't get a shot away.
And that didn't go down as a missed opportunity?
Didn't go down as a missed opportunity.
Interesting.
And there was the Salah one not a big chance, but in the first 3 minutes we had a chance, and then Keita didn't quite get on a shot away.
Lost it, yeah.
It was cleared off the line, but that wasn't a big chance, no?
No. That wasn't a big chance. But again, it's a good chance, and it was a good move. So there's definite breaking down. In the first hour, much better, if not dynamic and on the front foot all the time. There was the defensive compactness there. In the last half an hour, last 25 minutes, back to what it was in the league game, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Si, so let's talk about the nice things that happened in terms of the pattern of play and major events of that the first hour of the match. I think it's fair to say, I know we're making a big deal of this, but overall, I thought we were the better team, and we were very unlucky not to be ahead at half time. And I thought our tactics in terms of in that mid-block position, waiting, it was very much like watching teams have played us for so long, whereas they would stay in position. It would break down somewhere around halfway in the D, and then we'd be in a position to a couple of passes and we'd be in a dangerous situation. I thought that was my recollection of watching the match. What did you think, Si? Did you think we were broadly in control?
I don't think we were in control. I think we had a lot more Graham Potter passive possession than we typically ever do. Usually, we heard Klopp speak on Monday Night Football about it, but like there are rules about how quickly you have to get the ball forward, not like from front to back, but forward. And this was just retaining possession for long periods of the game. It was just sterile possession. I think there are a couple of moments.
It is one way to control a game. With that.
Absolutely, but they were allowing us to, is what I'm saying. And I thought they forced instability in our in our back line 3 times, and we did it once to them in the first half. But it was the most, what's the right term? It looked the most designed we had been, the most well rehearsed we had been, maybe all season.
You took that on a Mo chance.
Only 3 chances. I thought there was the Mo one when Keita drives forward in the first minutes and puts Mo in, and then there was the Mo ball to Elliott for the goal. That's a transition, is it? And then there was the other one with Gakpo winning it to Mo, and then there was the other one where Gakpo gives it to Elliott. So that's 4 in the first half.
I suppose maybe I'm underselling.
No, but
I think we just had like attacking opportunities. I think they had us panicking. I think that's the difference. I think we had them panicking once. They had us panicking 3 times. And they did have literally a goal saved off the line.
Hello, I'm here to annoy you. I'm here to annoy you into listening to more of me and more of others on EPL Index. We don't just have the Anfield Index stuff. We've got EPL Index as well, which covers the entirety of the Premier League. And we have 3 podcasts and a whole bunch of really good writing on EPLindex.com. The podcasts are my own 2-footed podcast, which is every day at 4 p.m, Monday through Friday, covering the whole league. We have A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. You know Tadiwa, he does Anfield Index. He presents A Tad Predictable before every Premier League match week. And then Kevin De Vries and his crew on the EPL Roundtable, they're every week after the Premier League match week. So make sure you listen to everything we're doing on EPL Index and follow us there on Twitter at EPL Index. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, so we had to on the other lines, weren't we?
I think the best chance of the half was the Salah one. I think it was even better than the Ferguson one, to be honest. But
yeah, we put it wide from
probably offside, but yeah.
Yeah, it was offside.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it would have been close. Yeah, very close.
To be fair, the Harvey second one would have been an amazing chance if he'd made the right choice.
Yeah.
True. We definitely made much better shapes than we have done, much better patterns.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But we weren't committing men forward into the box to create chaos.
I was going to say three. Was it Rhodesy? You say four. Let's say there was four decent opportunities. I think at least half those were on a counter.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So it wasn't. I'm saying it wasn't.
But that was my point. It was.
Yeah.
I thought it was coming from specifically from our kind of mid block and our solid shape, and then Brighton's build up would break down, and then I thought at least 3 times we did that, and
I think Bajcetic was good and more controlled, and Thiago was good for first half. I thought
Naby was really good first half. Yeah.
It's weird. I was impressed by Bajcetic's passing and one interception way more than people were than his general control of space or positioning or anything defensive, which might come at some point. He's a kid, for God's sake. But everyone was talking about that, and it was actually on the ball stuff that I was more impressed with.
He made 3 tackles and got dribbled past 3 times and got booked.
Yeah,
really.
Where do you think he won all his duels?
One was in the box and a couple out wide.
Yeah, so for me on the map here from Opta, they're all in central area.
Really?
Right.
He did win one in the box, though, didn't he?
No, it's not showing up, but all the ones out wide he lost.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. He's gone out of the area he was supposed to be in and he's lost the ball.
Si, talk to me about midfield man marking, please.
Which just makes sense. What we tried to do against them before made absolutely no sense. Why on earth do you go from a 1 and a 2 midfield to a 2 and a 1 midfield against the inverse? Like our man for man, our team matches up formation wise against their midfield perfectly. You can just instruct them differently to do different things in spaces. But in this game, we absolutely locked on. Thiago locked on to McAllister. Naby locked on. No, the other way around. Naby locked on to McAllister and Thiago locked on to Gross. As soon as their centre-backs got the ball, and then Gakpo blocked the pass into either of them. He was basically conducting which direction that they were going to pass the ball into where we were setting up to press.
Yeah.
Which was just smart. It's not like
so. It's basically a continuation of Chelsea and Wolves, isn't it? Same setup, same tactics, same personnel.
But the way you hear about Rhodesy should talk about this and to do the press himself. But the way you hear the commentators and pundits talk about the press like it's a thing, and the thing that they call the press is the Lallana chase.
Yeah,
and it's not. It's what Gakpo was doing.
Yeah,
exactly that. And there's so many different kinds of pressing.
Yeah, this is not gegenpressing. This is defensive. It's working right, and it's doing a disciplined job for your team, blocking passing lanes. But this is not when we talk about press. We've always really talked about the proactive winning the ball back as part of a systemic patterns of play.
Is that Klopp rule, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, but where you're looking at where Cody's going to be pressing in this game and against Chelsea Wolves, and where Bobby would be pressing when we were gegenpressing team, there's no comparison, So
it's just a totally different tactical pressing setup.
Yeah, and I think, but we all agree it's been dictated by the absolute abomination of our defensive performances, right? That's the reason why we're doing this now.
And this is what I mean, that those match summaries were kind of similar, but the pressing was completely different in this game to the league game. In the league game, we're in absolute shambles, where it's the worst pressing performance we've had. And this was a more controlled, effective, but not attacking tactic.
Yeah. We were just a lot smarter than the first game. We were so naive, and what we were trying to do, we were just trying to press them, and then they literally wait for us, and then you just pass straight through us, wouldn't they? It'll constantly pass. Oh dear. Anyway, so
shots conceded through failed pressing in that league game. I'm not sure there was any failed presses leading to shots in there.
No, there wasn't, was there? Because we didn't let them anywhere near for large parts of the game. They weren't in a position to have that. Do you know what I mean? We forced them into areas we wanted them to have the ball a little bit.
I think there might have been one on the first half on the Matoma one where he cuts inside.
And had the Robo one been...
Oh, yeah.
Had the Robo one been 5 yards, 10 yards further forward for their winner, that would have been a failed press. But
yeah. Okay. Should we talk about the goal? Who wants to do that? Rhodesy.
Well, it was lovely. Yeah. I thought Moore pressed well early on. He won the ball, and then it broke to Nabbit, who gave it him back. Great first time pass. Moore's quick on his dribble, attacks him, and his weighted through ball was perfect. And unlike the other chance where Elliott doesn't hit it with his right foot, he tries to beat it on his left, and this he does hit it first time with his right. And keeper doesn't save it. It should.
Si, talk to me about your little quirk on the Elliott goal that you noticed. He's gone for a cup of tea, hasn't he? He's gone for food.
Doesn't he? He's probably
the post shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
He's probably explaining post shot.
Yeah, Bart, talk to me about it.
I got it.
I was going to say, I haven't even seen it.
I couldn't find the Zoom window under my 15 sheets to press mute. The quirk of post shot XG, which we talk about all the time on here, is where the goal is the value of the shot the goalie has to save, basically, not from where the chance happens. And that's what we thought it was, but it's actually where it goes over the line. Because Harvey took a shot which was basically straight at the goalie, and the goalie attempted to save and scuffed it towards the corner of the goal. By the time it got to the goal, it was a 0.9 expected goal. So it was a 90% chance of going in there. That's like right in the corner, and he actually struck the shot down the middle.
Yeah. And then
huge flow in the system, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, and then coming on to our unlucky equaliser.
Can I just point out one thing before you do this with the unlucky equaliser, is that the Ibu got a lot of credit for this game, maybe even the most of any player on the pitch, and both goals were caused by his issues leading to corners.
Oh, right.
He just headed it out. He headed it out for a throw, and it skewed off the corner.
So the other issue with post-shot XG is perfectly illustrated with the Brighton very unlucky equaliser. Absolutely unsavable deflection from Lewis Dunk. How he has the brass neck to claim that as a finish, I just don't know. Honest to God. I mean, I know he's on a goal bonus. For
I was going to say, he's going to be a goal bonus, isn't he?
Yeah, but it was 0.08 post-shot XG because it goes really quite slowly down the middle of the goal. And so
Alisson would just put his foot on it, wouldn't he, had it not been deflected?
Yeah. So the lesson of the story here, kids, is post-shot XG is still not handled with deflected shots. And I don't know if any supplier was doing. This is obviously Opta. We don't have access to StatsBomb anymore, but it would be very interesting to see if StatsBomb do factor in deflections. But we talked about this.
What's the solution? Not including him. Trying to figure out.
I would say it goes back to what we said at the start. Barts, about special cause versus common cause. I mean, I think until you come up to a way with handle it, I think you have to remove them totally, don't you, from your data set?
Yeah, but then they've done. So Opta have changed their model, haven't they, to include the number of defenders in the way? Is that
but that's the XG. But
I know,
but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They've worked out that calculation. So, but I think for the moment, I would remove it. But I'm just saying, if they've managed to work that out, the XG, it can't be that far along their thinking to work out the post. But anyway, I think at the moment you remove it because that's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, both of them are actually ridiculous and they're going to post shot.
But it's always been the case, and it's always been before. So I think data providers, deflected shots, get them. Yeah, you tag whether it's deflected or not. Don't include them in your shot XG models.
The annoying thing about this goal is that Side's right. Kanata could have solved it at the source, right? But equally, we should have got out to the ball quicker. Should have blocked a shot. It's there's two runners who react.
Don't block the shot.
No, but I mean, why are we letting the guy shoot? Do you know what I mean? It's just that kind of.
Trent cleared it with a header.
It's a poor header. It's a poor header from Trent. Right?
It was outside the box. That's all you're going to do from the corner. The goal is to get it outside the box, and it was 10 yards outside the box, and he hit it wide.
Yeah, I think we could have done better with that. I'm just saying it's unfortunate, but
can I just say that Trent's header is a successful clearance, not an unsuccessful one? Yeah, because the thing is, it does clear the danger area. But maybe you could close it down, maybe. But it was bad.
I think Trent got ripped in this game and ripped by Jurgen, and I think he did a really good job against one of the 5 best wingers in the world right now.
Yeah, I thought Trent had a good game.
Yeah, same here. I think what Trent didn't help himself was he had a face like a slapped arse on the bench.
He did.
Good. I want a great player to be pissed off when he gets dragged off. And I definitely want a great player to be pissed off when he gets dragged off for the 12th time in 24 games.
Yeah, for a 37-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way Klopp talked about why and what, that he explained that he was taking him off for a defensive substitute.
And then Milner gets done for the one brilliant ball of the whole game.
Yeah,
and he saves it.
With the greatest one in the world, James Milner is not going to do any better job defensively against Matoma than Trent. So, yeah. But to be honest, the only thing I'd say is, and I agree it's harsh on Trent, but maybe Klopp is doing a good job on the slaying the sacred cows, so it's just that everybody is accountable for their performance. So maybe we'll see.
If he's accountable and if he's played well, I know he dribbled past twice in like 5 minutes, so it looked like he was getting done all the time. But I think I've had a look on the Y Scout report where they do the duels against each other, and there were 6 duels between Trent and Mitoma. And Trent won 3 and Mitoma won 3. So
I was going to say, and if you want to look at fullbacks losing their battles, Robertson had 8 duels on his channel. Yeah, he only won 1.
There you go.
I mean, come on. Like that's if you're going to make it on performance, you took the wrong fullback off.
Yeah. Anyway, so Brighton make us up at half time, like for like. Veltman comes on for Webster, and then interestingly, they sacrifice Danny Welbeck and they bring on Billy Gilmore, and they go to 4-5-1. And while Brighton are going to 4-5-1, Si, what do we do?
Shit the bed.
I knew you were going to say that.
What was the plan with the subs first before shitting the bed?
Well, we were going to
humiliating Trent was that first part of the plan, obviously, yeah.
I think if you listen to what Klopp broke down at the end of the game, he was basically saying that they didn't get in down our left-hand side because Robbo had cover in front of him. Harvey worked really well down that side, blocking him up, and he didn't have any cover down the right. Trent didn't have any cover down the right-hand side, so he took Trent off and put Hendo on because obviously Naby and Trent weren't doing a good job. And they just emptied it out. Literally 3 minutes after coming on, they emptied out the space, and Mitoma was straight in behind Milner, and Hendo wasn't pressing the pass into him.
Yeah.
We said it in the chat, didn't we? As soon as Hendo comes on, it goes and presses their fullback. It completely leaves that side. It was ridiculous.
He's forcing the game. He's imposing his will.
But pressing the wrong area. It's just ridiculous.
Just set aside from here, right? I know there's always the Naby and Hendo competition and debate, right? Do you remember for the first 2 years Naby came, and what do we call him? Do you remember? He was a stats monster.
Yeah.
He absolutely dominated all statistics.
Yeah.
And also maybe gave the ball away a little bit more than Ginny.
He had like a 2.8 points per game, didn't he, for his first 2 seasons or something?
Yeah, 2.8. He's now 2.69, so he's still our most. He's our highest points per game ever, anyway, but not as high. But like his XG build, his XG chain, it was per 90. It was the best in the team by miles. And no longer. He's not involved in any of those numbers. He just never gives the ball away and goes and gets it back.
Yeah,
Klopp's turned him into Ginny.
Yeah. Yeah, he did say that back in the time as well. But just
a quick point, Dan, and I don't know if you've seen it before, but on This Is Anfield, they give like 5 different kinds of player ratings, and I've never seen this, but I just thought it was interesting that
5 different types.
So you've got Who Scored, Footmob, The Echo, and This Is Anfield, and then This Is Anfield readers, right? But what I find interesting is on FootMob, Elliot got our best player 7.6, but Salah was second 6.9, and Thiago 6.9, which kind of is strange. If you look at how the Liverpool fans voted, 3.3 for Salah, 3.3 for Trent, and the best player according to our fans was Konate with 6.7, and Si's just said both goals. Where he had a part to play. There's such a perception between how the players are performing statistically on the pitch and how our fans are now interpreting it. How on earth were Trent and Salah are by miles our worst players on that pitch? Not a chance were there. Salah got an assist, and he missed that chance, but he might have been offside. But he pressed for the goal. He got the assist.
He was the second highest presser according to StatsBomb.
Trent played an amazing pass with the outside of his boot to Salah in the first half. But our fans thought Trent and Salah...
And literally cleared the ball off the line.
Yeah.
Literally stopped the goal.
How does that work?
Did you listen to the game, though? Every time Trent was on it, they were talking about his defensive liabilities. Every time Mo was on it, they were talking about he's had a bit of a quiet season. That's what
17.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you, the commentators, that's what it just drips. I think it feeds into that consciousness.
Wasn't it Robot Wars man, Jonathan Pierce?
But they were both.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was two generally good people. McCoy, who is incredibly positive and talks about every finish being brilliant, despite the double deflection.
Yeah,
but they were dripping in about this. Mo being quiet, Trent being a liability.
Klopp's feeding it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, and Klopp doesn't help. Mo's got 25 goal involvements.
Yeah.
He's created more chances than anybody else. He has more assists than anybody else.
He's actually overperforming his XG in all competitions this season.
There you go.
By 1.5.
Most of
that is Rangers, but it's still a sample. It's still a sample size.
But most of his negative comes from Bournemouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you take the two big outliers out of there. He's doing fine. He's not by any stretch of the imagination on fire. He is also still one of the elite forwards in the league.
Yeah, and especially in Europe in terms of goal involvements from a winger. Yeah, so he's still producing raw. It's just that the problem is that the Premier League season's been crap, and a lot of his stuff has been skewed towards Europe rather than Premier League.
What's going on with our fans thinking like he's got an attitude problem? Trent's got an attitude problem.
You should definitely go on one of the other AI shows, Rhodesy, with that, because we've got a lot to get through still, mate. But not a lot, but a few other things. But just wanted to say on my thing about the subs is that there was people talking on my Twitter feed about after the subs that, we were still in relative control, but then they were saying, look, okay, now this is better, we're pressing high. And I was thinking, well, actually, isn't that the very thing that we're trying to avoid? We don't want to be chasing Brighton down into their third, and we don't want to be pressing fullbacks and centre-back. That's the opposite of what we've been trying to do for the first hour of the match.
Yeah,
exactly. In fact, Dan, could you not say, and despite Fabinho's nightmare 7 minutes or whatever it was, the worst person for Liverpool in this game was Klopp?
Well, were the subs pre-planned?
I don't know.
But why?
No,
that's what I said. Why?
Yeah. Were they? They smelled it. They smelled a bit pre-planned to me. Si.
He's looking through his 15 tabs.
I actually have a daughter who's got 10 mates around that are just leaving. But I think the meritocracy thing is a little bit overstated, and we have a few players that missed a lot of training in the last 2 weeks that aren't being picked, and they're getting their minutes in because I'm still not convinced that they're being actively chosen against. So they were getting as much time as they needed for their fitness.
So it was pre-planned.
At what point do you think you could say that it's become a meritocracy then, Si? How many
when they've been in full training.
Okay.
So if they have a full week of training and they don't get picked, then I'll agree.
Yeah.
Or Real Madrid. There you go.
But you were saying before the game, we're in the group, this is going to be his biggest.
Yeah, it is.
And if he carries on with it, but we're saying that's not enough now. Henderson wasn't fit enough to be.
I thought he was in training all week. That's why, and they weren't.
Oh, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about, okay, we're doing all this because maybe we finally learned some lessons from the first Brighton match, and we're actually trying to put in place tactical changes and fixes to try and stop some of the problems. If you look at this match objectively, you'll see that it was a fairly even game, which we probably shaded. We were unlucky to be behind for the first hour. And by the end of the match, the last 20 minutes, we were as bad as the league game. And if you analyse it like that, then you'll realise that, okay, what we did at the start there was actually quite good. And that's something to build on. Whereas what we did at the end should absolutely never be seen again.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, mag boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
I couldn't agree more. We didn't create any XG from the moment that they came on, and they doubled their XG from the moment the big sub.
Yes, shambolic.
Yeah,
but
and doubled the big chances.
But what I said about them not being picked because they aren't training, they also aren't training. So they aren't doing the practice of the new patterns and formations that we're having. So they will get a buy off Klopp.
Yeah.
But if they're not ready to do it, then they say, right, you're coming in, you're an 8, you're man marking this person here, you're the other 8, you're man marking that person there, blah, blah, blah. Do that. I mean, surely it can't be beyond the wit of man to do that.
I also don't get the Fab. I can understand the 8s, right? To a degree, I do get what Si's saying. But Fab is just playing 6.
Yeah, why does he have to go like at the edge?
Why does he have to go
box?
and break some bloke's leg?
Yeah.
And play appallingly. Literally, come on and play what the kid.
But he was pressing right on the edge of their box a few times as well. And
that's not what he normally would do anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think the 8s, they're a bit more contained, but the 6, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, he's largely doing what the 6 has always done.
Yeah.
Any chance there was a hold this, let's sterile possession for 60, and then we'll switch gears?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, if that's the plan,
if that's the case, then
they'll have to realise that it catastrophically failed. So,
the problem you've got though, Dan, is you change so much in that half an hour. That's also an out for Klopp because you change the midfield, you put Darwin on. Do you know what I mean? You opened up so many areas of the pitch. It's you can work both ways. You can say, yeah, we can sit here and go, well, clearly it's the midfield, but Klopp could probably go, well, actually, no. We opened up left eye channel because we took Harvey off, because put Nunes on. Do you know what I mean? He can look at it in different ways.
Yeah.
But I would go with what we said, that the first hour gave us something to build on. The last half an hour was probably the worst half an hour since all season.
Yeah, well, since the league game.
Should have been that to 8 men for a start.
Well, great, yeah. Right. Can we pay some tribute to Karu Matoma? This lad, I know we talked about it on the league game, but this lad, he is so good. He is, oh my God, he is so goddamn good. I was just looking at paying tribute to his FB Ref profile already, and he's like 95th percentile for so many things already. I know it's a small sample in the minutes in the Premier League, but good God, this kid is well, he's not even a kid anymore. He's 25-year-old.
Have you heard his story, Dan? Didn't turn professional till he was 21. He did his PhD or degree on dribbling.
That's amazing. Was he one of yours, Barts?
No, he weren't one of mine.
Did he mark his thesis?
I'd put a note in there saying sign for LFC, I tell you, but no.
We should be able to get that, right? All PhDs are published, aren't they, Barts?
Yeah, you should be able to, but you don't probably have to convert it from Japanese. He's Japanese, isn't he?
Could you add it to the list for one of your
I'll do that.
departments? See if you can dig it out.
I'll write that down now for you. There you go.
I know neither of you two watched the World Cup, but he was unbelievable in that. Well, he was awesome. He came on against Germany and tore him a new one in the second half. 5 goals in 7, is it? It just looks unbelievable. As Si said, one of the 5 best wingers in the world.
On form.
Yeah. His dribbles are amazing. Look at his dribbles.
He was great at the World Cup, if you remember. His impact was huge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Coming on a sub, he was a beast.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's like there's a kind of intelligence to his dribbling that makes sense if he's done such a deep dive analysis on his own about it, because he is quick, but it's that it can go both ways. He's got a little flick. He's got a skill.
Yeah,
he's got the end product.
I mean, that ball he put in.
I've got his thesis, but it's in Japanese.
I was going to say, yeah, it's probably in Japanese.
We're going to translate. So 0.5 goals per 90 minutes as a wide player. That's phenomenal. And he's on 0.51 expected goals and expected assists per 90 as well in the games that have been collected for. He is averaging 1.7 shots per game from a wide player. That's quite low, actually. That's maybe one thing but
we've had Salah and Mane on 3s and 4s, haven't we? So
yeah, 4 shot creating actions per 90. I'm just looking for his dribble stats. 4.5 dribbles attempted per game. Oh, actually, only 51% success rate. So
I was going to say
it's not like abnormally high. It's not like he's high 60s or anything like that. But
literally exactly what this game. He had 50% against Trey.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he's also got the acceleration and the speed.
Yeah,
and he's 2-footed.
Yeah, and he's team first, and he makes good decisions. But we can talk about this. We talked about this that he before the Brighton game, he has the highest XT in the league. And that goal's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It just, because I didn't watch the game live. We had a match. So I knew the score when I came home, and I watched Ali McCoy and the Peter Drury, whoever's talking their way through the game. And it was just in the context of, Ali said, lovely finish, because he says lovely finish about every goal scored. And the commentator dude was talking just in the context of that's 2-1, the context of actual score. And I'm like, did you just see I had to rewind it. Did he actually do the thing? I just thought he did, because there's no way this commentary is that. I can't have seen what he volleyed a cross into the air. He flicked it up over Gomez, and then with a 5 foot off the floor, around him outside of the foot, hammered the ball past Ali. Yeah. I've never seen it before. I've never seen the skill before.
It's very Bergkamp-esque.
But not the actual finish. I've never seen that skill done before with that. I've never seen it done before, but never with that kind of power.
Yeah. And accuracy.
Unbelievable. But yeah, Bergkamp-esque controlled volley just to control the cross. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And everyone was blaming Gomez. I was like, what is he supposed to do?
I think what they complained about was the fact that he turned his back. I think that's what really got people's go up, I think.
Because any defender in the world would have expected him to volley that to control that with a volley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what? If you want to complain about anybody, complain about Darwin playing the dude onside in the first place.
Yeah.
He gets offside too early, and he plays people onside too early. He doesn't understand how quick he is. Just wait a second, dude. You're still faster than everybody else there.
Can't you get this message to him? I mean, please.
Yeah. Just on Matoma as well. Just looking at who scored. Not who scored on Understat, because they do have the shot man. 20 shots in the Premier League this season. Only 2 of them outside the box. His shot map is, my God. If he can keep that up over 3,000 minutes, then goodness me.
What do you reckon his value is, Dan?
Well, I mean, he's certainly a lot closer to Sadio Mane than the other left wingers the 3 left wingers that we've bought since, but definitely.
Let's have a quick look. He is now valued on Transfermarkt at 8.5 million.
Wow, no chance. More like
chance.
Add a 0.
Add a 0, yeah.
Yeah.
If Mudrik's going for that much.
Yeah. I don't think he's quite as quick as Mudrik, but that's about it, really, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway.
How old is he, though? 25?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got 1 contract.
Anyway, magnificent player and a magnificent signing from Brighton. So, boys, okay, where next? Obviously, don't say Wolves, please. Wolves away. Right, where do we go from here? Barts?
How many times have we said this? Where next? Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to glean on some positives, but at the first hour gave me something. There does come a point where he's got to start develop the attacking side of that, and whether he decides to play Núñez wide left, you know what I mean? Like, he's got to find a way of, with that hour of sometimes sterile possession, but limiting the opposition to certain types of chances. He's got to find a way of making us more. Although we said we had 4 good chances, but it's maybe the wrong players with those chances. For me, we're on this train now. We've got to do what we've done for the first hour in that game. Has to be our blueprint going forward. We just have to find a way of improving our attacking output. Getting the ball to Mo Moore would be a good start. Because although we just said he's not having a bad season, he's had less ball to him than he's had all season. We said that previously. Yeah. So, and I think we have to find a way of getting our left side to work better in an attacking sense. Because as much as Harvey did all right, there were countless times in the last 3 performances where he was in the right, he was too deep, and therefore he made the wrong pass. And it didn't.
Do you continue with the mid block with the Gakpo role?
I do. Well, what else are we going to? We can't. Well, I don't think.
I know. I agree. I do agree. I absolutely agree with this. Si, I've seen some shouts saying we should go back to 4-4-2 with Núñez and Salah. You made a very interesting point today that we can't control a midfield with 3 players. So how on earth could we do it with 2?
Even somebody said, "Oh yeah, didn't we do 4-2? I don't know, 4-4-2, 4-2-4 against City a couple of years ago, and we were brilliant. And Jota is going to be the key component of all of that." I'm like, well, for a start, people have forgotten about Jota, but mainly we got away with that because we had the best defensive midfielder in the world at the time. Now we don't.
Plus, we had Pete Van Dijk and Pete Mane, Pete Salah,
and everybody was 2 years younger. So we don't have the legs to make up for the spaces that causes. There's no chance we can do that. Can I just point out, from a systemic point of view, we don't actually know exactly what this new way of playing does or has caused, but let me just look, the last 4 years of games, we have faced opponents that have had a single-digit long ball rate. A long ball rate is a percentage of total passes that were made long instead of short. We've had single-digit long ball rate 9 times against us, and 5 of those are the last 5 games.
So it seems to stop even going long against us.
Yeah. So Brighton, we stopped it. Up until then, it was like 29, 17, 18, 25. 6, 8, 7, 6.
Wow.
So we're preventing the long pass by dropping off.
Yeah. Well, it's all about the transitions, isn't it? Everything's about controlling the transitions. So you think we're going to stick with this as well, mid-block, Gakpo in the defensive 9 role, all that
Makes
kind
sense.
of stuff?
Yeah. Because I'm finding it really hard to find a plan, right? Because we're an analytics pod. We talk about strategy and planning and analytics all the time, and how well we've planned our procurement and all that stuff. I can't. If he's now decided that Gakpo is Bobby, Darwin must be exclusively being played from the left. He's not even coming on and going for Gakpo centre. He's not playing in the middle at all.
No.
What is the plan for Diaz and Jota? So we've got
get them fit for. I mean, is Diaz going to play again this season?
Yeah, I think he's probably still 2 months out. But yeah,
and Jota's only a couple of weeks away, isn't he? Top.
Yeah,
Jota might be on the bench for Real Madrid, mightn't he?
Potentially.
I slightly disagree with this assumption about Gakpo playing in that role. I know Klopp's explained it.
No, for now, I mean, Rhodesy.
I think Nunes is better in that position, and Gakpo played he's had the season.
But he plays it totally differently. That's my point.
Yeah.
But
I get all that, and I'm not sure.
So you wouldn't go for the conservative approach and blocking passing lanes. You go attack, would you, Rhodesy? Switch back to attack focus.
What I'm trying to do is think about players in their
position.
Yeah. And I don't see why we shouldn't be working with Nunes on. All you're doing is a bit of a defensive press to try and control where the opposition are building up their possession. That can't be that hard.
Yeah,
now, I know
he can't use that on the right side, Rhodesy.
I know, but that should be something he's working on, because I think he's better down the middle and moving to the left and maybe rotating with Gakpo. But Gakpo's had the season of his life from the left, and then you use the same midfield and see how that goes. I'm not saying it's going to work, but because I think we've got the control, so we're not getting counted on repeatedly like we were.
But we've got the control by doing this thing, is what I'm saying. So instead of what would you do or what would I do, what do we think Klopp's doing?
We just haven't got the attacking, that's all.
Yeah, I think Jota's key in this. I really do. I think there's a very good chance Jota, when fit, comes straight in the side.
Well, there's no question he can do a defensive.
Jota can do defensive from the front, can't he?
For sure, right. But what we said was, and we're way off this right now, but the limits of Jota in that 9, when he played the 9, were he was not good enough in build-up. And we saw that in the Inter Milan games and some of the other games. Yeah, the big Arsenal.
Do you think that we were being successful with him doing that? Open the door to us going, Darwin, we can still do this stuff if we have a lad that doesn't involve himself in the game, but is more of a killer.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think there's more of a chance Jota comes down the middle and Gakpo goes wide left than there is Nunes.
But then what? Then we've got 150 million that.
Yeah, I know, but that's. I'm just. I don't think Diaz plays again this season. By the time he comes back, I think you're looking at where Jota and Diaz and Darwin fighting for a place.
Okay,
but Bobby coming back as well. Bobby coming back.
Yeah. Well.
I'm saying
he's out. He's had a relapse apparently.
We've had 2 big chances in 3 games.
Yeah. So Rhodesy, we've got Wolves away, then Everton at home on the 13th, Newcastle away on the 18th, and then Real Madrid on the 21st. What are you going to stick with the current shape and the plan, or are you going to mix it up back again to get more attack?
I think Klopp's going to do that. I wouldn't. I would just tweak that front line and have Nunes down the middle and Gakpo on left. That's what I would go with.
And hope that he can provide blocking off passing lanes.
Well, I'm not sure we need to have a controlled mid-block press against Wolves and Everton.
But we will against Real Madrid.
Absolutely, we should. And I wouldn't mind it in that game. Because you need to have that element.
Yeah.
And it's a horse, of course, Brighton are not Wolves or Everton.
Well, Wolves' strength is centre midfield, though.
Yeah, no, true, but not. So maybe then Gakpo plays in that role against Wolves, but
and then you got Bruno Guimaraes against Newcastle, so you're going to say,
yeah, well, maybe. Dan. I think the trade off between having control in midfield for an hour like we did in this game and having 2 big chances in 3 games that's not how we get top 4. We get top 4 or win the Champions League by getting chances to score.
Yeah.
You can't do it with 0.7 big chances a game. It doesn't matter.
No, I agree.
So Rhodesy, do you think? So it's going what you're saying, but even if you played Darwin instead of Harvey, would you back Darwin to take the chances Harvey had in that last game?
God knows. God knows.
But what I'm trying to say to you is that's probably the only change. Do you know what I mean? If you play Darwin there.
Personally, I do prefer Darwin from the left rather than down the middle on the centre. Yeah.
So that he probably takes both those chances. Well, I don't know, maybe.
You've done the Nunes tracker. Let's look. His shot accuracy is higher than Kane's across the last 5 seasons.
Yeah, that's the only thing which is staying good on the tracker. Everything else is going in the wrong way, wrong direction, I'm afraid.
Shots down, XG per 90, goals per 90.
He's not playing. Yeah.
So for Kane across 5 seasons is 14%. Nunes has reached that once, and that was after the Southampton game this season. And now he's down to just
below 12.
To 12.
Below 12%. Yeah, the only good thing about is he's getting his shots on target. So that's the no. To be fair, he's still shooting a lot. But it is coming down.
I feel like it's the problem that he's getting them all. Well, he's either shanking them wide or hitting them straight at the keeper. But it will correct. I don't think he's an elite finisher, but it will correct to some kind of fairly decent level, and his shot volume will end up getting a lot of goals. I have no issues with that. It's just the consequences of the team by him having so many shots. I don't know how much that works or it doesn't. But you can't waste 100 million quid on a player for Liverpool and not play him ahead of Harvey Elliott. I don't get it.
Well, I agree with that. If you take if you look at it from the if there's a debate about whether you can play your club record signing, that just tells you're in a world of pain in that situation. You should not be having that debate, should you? It means,
and that means it means he would be behind Diaz and Jota too, because Harvey's behind those two.
Yeah.
But I think he is.
Yeah, I would play him left wing and Gakpo in the centre, at least until after the Real Madrid tie. If we go out to Real Madrid, then God knows what you're going to do for the rest of the league season. But
I think you've got to play Darwin against Real Madrid, because the only way you're going to beat them is
but I would say I'd play Darwin on the left of the front three. I'd do that. But for me, what I'd say is I'd keep the same plan as the same game plan as the last 3 games, and I just simply say to the team, can you actually do that for longer than 45, 60 minutes? Can you do it for 80 minutes, 90 minutes?
Thing is, right, after we've had one game every 36 days through January, after Wolves, we've got 9 days. We've got 9 days for Everton for the Monday, but then we've got 6 games in 20 days.
Yeah.
You've also got
then there is going to be rotation, because one of the catch-up games is going to get thrown in between Palace and Man United.
Yeah. But Matip's going to be playing now as well, so it changes the dynamic at the back a little bit.
Jesus.
Right. Anyway,
can I just depress us all with one more thing? I track because I don't think it's sad enough. I think I track. Obviously, we talked about this. So rolling 19, rolling 10, and the 38 game. Our current rolling 10. Against the worst 10 games in Klopp's period, everybody knows what those 10 games are. We actually have much better points per game, 1.6 than that, 0.9. But the XGA in that in the worst period under Klopp was 1.46, and it's currently 1.87.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why you got to continue with the defensive approach. Unfortunately.
It's just so shit. 1.54 post shot every single game, and that's 15% worse than than in the worst 10-game period we had with Reece and your son playing centre back.
Right, and on that bombshell.
Okay, just speaking of kids, congratulations to your daughter, Si.
Oh, she's just gone upstairs. She would have heard otherwise. Yeah, she got in at Liverpool. She's not going to Liverpool, I don't think, but she got in. So we're going for a visit for sure.
And also, congratulations to your son for his I take laws over Hendo as a sex joke. I'm being serious last night. Anyway, come.
Right. That's on those bombshells. And that has been your Under Pressure podcast for this week. We will be back next Monday for the Wolves match. And until then, up the Reds.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.